You're writing it for yourself. I mean, if you're writing it with somebody else in mind, you're really not going to have as much fun. And I think people can tell that when you're doing something, when you're going through the motions just to go through the motions. Stories resonate the most with people when they realize that it's coming from a personal drive. So don't compromise that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was joking earlier about being hacky, but like that is the definition of being hacky is someone who just does it because they think it will sell. Right? Like not they don't want to, but you know what? Like I've never read a romance novel, but romance does really well, so I'm going to write a romance novel. Right? Like if you don't enjoy it, like how are you possibly going to write a good one? You don't know what makes a good one. So don't do it. Right? But
I
I
had a
don't know.
funny instance where I was on a podcast once and a guy asked me, um, Frank, what's the one genre that you would like to try exploring? And I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, I've done so many. I've done horror and sci-fi and fantasy, and be like, I'd love a rom com. Just like go at it and just like see if I could pull off a rom com. And then I put out a book that was called Sex Night, and it was just basically me thinking of all the ways sex can go terribly, and I'm
Mhm.
like, let's cram that all into one night and have this husband and wife like completely screw up trying to do it, and it turned into like this lovable thing where this couple loves each other and they're trying to be intimate and it doesn't work. And I went back on the podcast and he goes, Frank, you last time you were on, you said you wanted to make a rom com and you did. And I thought about it for a second. I'm like, I did. Like I didn't even like that wasn't my goal. My goal
Yeah.
wasn't to say I need to make a rom com because I haven't done it yet. How can I do that? I just wrote a story that like I wanted to tell, and it just happened to fall into that category by accident.
Yeah. That's good though. I mean, this is the thing, right? Like when you're actually kind of letting the muse kind of take you, right? And it's like, this is, I don't know, this is an idea I have, and you just kind of follow that. Like that's where the better like art comes out of, right? Like not you, again, you can always sit and force yourself to do something. And especially, someone like yourself who's as prolific and experienced as yourself, I'm sure you could come out with something pretty good, right? If you just said, you know what, I don't like this genre, but I'm going to do it because I have to. Like you could probably manage something, but when you're actually doing something that you're into, like you know what I mean, it shines through for sure. So yeah, like there's got to be some of your heart in what you're
E-
doing, right?
Even when you force something, there are still ways to make it come about naturally. And
Yeah.
that, for instance, I I did a story. I've done stories with a couple artists, and when we develop something from scratch, I say, "What do you want to do?" And they say, "I want to do horror, or I want to do thriller, or I want to do this," and they throw a bunch of ideas at me. And it's essentially like ingredients in a soup, right? They give me the ingredients of what they want to
Mhm.
include. I want there to be a mass killer, and I want there to be a big chase scene at the end, and I want this and love interest or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I got my ingredients. Now I have to make a dish, right?
Yeah.
So I just take them, and then I usually just like go for a jog, and I just let all that stew. And then when your mind's free to just wander, something can come about. I'm not sitting down staring at a screen forcing myself to write. I'm just thinking about these things that he wants to include and come up with ideas. So yeah, even when you have to write something, even when you have to come up with an idea, there are ways to not like force the idea or fight it or try hard to come up with something. Just let it flow, man. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
I mean, the idea should be the easy part. If you're struggling there, you have, you know,
I mean, it can be hard. I what I imagine is hard is if somebody, let's say Marvel contacts you and says, I need you to come up with an idea for a 4 issue Nightwing series." Like I think that's kind of hard.
yeah.
It's very easy to just have a go through the motions superhero story without any stakes, or I should say, not without any stakes, but without anything that has any real consequence, without any
Yeah.
real weight to it. You could come up with like a generic spy thriller and just throw Nightwing in it, but like people can tell that that's like a generic thing.
Yeah, that's usually reserved for, like, the back pages, right? Where
Yeah,
it's like, "We need to
yeah,
try out this artist, give us 4 pages,"
yeah. I mean,
right?
they have that expression when they say you file off the serial numbers for a story. when
Yeah,
you when you take something that's built for a specific character and you can basically take out that character, put in a different character, and nothing changes,
yeah,
right? I mean, they I guess they want those from time to time, but like that's not really fun. That's not really what you're going to be passionate about having these generic pulp stories with interchangeable characters.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
well,
You gotta find like and there's ways to do that too, that you take these stories that kind of can be translated for one to the other. Like, isn't that Die Hard, right? Or maybe Die Hard 2 or something. It was Lethal Weapon. No, the third one, Die Hard with a Vengeance, was Lethal Weapon. And then they took that script and they turned it into Die Hard with a Vengeance.
it
Oh, I
So
was.
once
didn't
you
know
know
that.
that, you know
I
that.
didn't.
Yeah.
But that. I got to look into that. You know what? It was probably Die Hard 2 because Die Hard
Yeah.
3 was heavily tied to Die Hard 1 because you had the
Yeah.
return of the villain. Die Hard 2 was just basically another thing that he caught himself in.
It's true.
Ma-
Well, yeah,
ma-
Die Hard 2 was the
The
airport, right?
airport, yeah.
And that one was pretty much just the first one in an airport.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the great thing about Die Hard, and you can see this through all of them, is that they're all the same, but they just expand the range that John McClane goes in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Like his
first
setting grows.
Yeah, the first one is just a building. The
Yeah.
second one is just an airport. The third one is New York City.
Yeah.
The fourth one is the Eastern Seaboard, and then the fifth one is like all of Europe.
Yeah.
But wait,
It's just
the movie with Steven Seagal on the ship, was it original a Die Hard
that
movie
was
too?
well, was so no maybe, but I know what happened was Die Hard was such a surprise hit that they all just tried to make Die Hard like everywhere. Let's do
True.
Right.
Die Hard on a plane. Let's do Die Hard on a
Yeah,
ship. So they're clones essentially of one another. They're just
that's
carbon
right.
copies.
Well, and I think Die Hard is based off of the second book in the series. So I don't
Yeah.
know if that's why the Seagal movie is technically Die Hard, even though it's not. Yeah,
I like the
it's got
second.
a weird history.
I like the second Under Siege one with Steven Seagal. And that one he's on a train.
Yeah,
It's
maybe that's the next series for you. It's just character A in setting B, and
character.
setting C for the next one, and
Well, you know what? I my big passion. I go like from stories that I want to write. Like I have like little, uh, I guess eras. Right now, I want to do a Predator story, but I want to stylize it like Terminator. You
okay,
know, so the basic point of Terminator is you have the Terminator has a target, right? Somebody needs to kill, and then somebody comes and tries to protect that person.
yeah,
So I want to do that
chosen
with
one reverse, right?
Yeah. So I want to do that with Predator, but because Predator is not really well, he's just hunting.
Yeah,
He doesn't have like one specific target that he's after.
hmm
So I thought it'd be cool to just
give him a
figure
target.
that out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know where you're gonna fit that in your schedule, but
If you know what, if 20th Century Studios gives me a call, I would find a way to fit it to my schedule.
that's fair. That's fair. Well,
Predator
now they're
was
under Marvel as well, so you're dealing with the same.
Yeah, they have Predator versus Wolverine now,
Yeah,
which I would have loved to written. That's a great one.
yeah,
But
an Alien versus Avengers or something like that.
Predator was like my franchise as like a little kid. I don't know how that happened,
Yeah,
but I remember my dad took me to his work one day and I was in his office and he's like, just go in the storage room and color or whatever. I'm like, okay. And I would just draw Predator and I would like come up with different weird weapons for him to use and stuff. Like I found it fascinating.
right on. So when did you drop the art then? I hear you said you were drawing.
I was drawing. When did I drop the art? I don't know. Puberty.
That early, eh? You're just like, this isn't for me.
No,
It's
it's
not gonna
not.
happen for me.
No, it's not. I mean, it was fun for a while. I did a lot of like copying. Like I think that's how a lot
Of
of kids
course.
start. Like I saw Superman and I would just like draw Superman, and then
Yeah.
I had a composite image of like all my favorite characters. Like I would have Scorpion on one side, and he would be like I don't know fighting Spider Man on the other,
Yeah, yeah.
and I just add on to it all these different characters, and it just became a huge collage.
Yeah, like back then it wasn't about who had the ownership of what IP. I feel like kids know a lot more than I ever did, right? About like and Who Framed Roger Rabbit was that was
Oh,
like, yeah, see, they all know each other, right?
that's a
I didn't
phenomenal
understand
movie.
how amazing that was that they were crossing over. I thought, yeah, they're cartoons. Of course they know each other.
Yeah, I love her. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a classic.
Oh, so good. And they can never do it again. Like it's things are too like meta now that it would never work. You couldn't do like an earnest like guy's cartoon without like constantly winking at the camera, right? Like doing like a noir, like just no, there's no way. It would be Ryan Reynolds winking at you the whole time, right? Like you just no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's of its time.
No, no. Crossovers are. I mean, we've seen a lot of comics crossovers recently.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, they did a Stranger Things Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, the turtles are they're willing to
They're
go
at,
anywhere.
they're everywhere. They're Power
They've done
Rangers. They're fighting
Batman.
Batman, Stranger Things.
Naruto's the next one.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
And they got what's his name, Jorge Jimenez there. Like that one's like they got like top shelf artists doing it. Like it's impressive. Pretty cool.
So what do we got here with the comic? Oh, I love that with the motion lines. Everybody's just getting stuck to her.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love how I can go on a tangent and then
You just
Roberto's
come
like
back and
reading
you're like,
ad
oh look, a
replacement.
comic.
Yeah. Right. He's doing all this like crazy work and I'm just like, talking about nonsense. Old
Yeah,
die hard.
I would like to chime in from time to time, but
You're
I
so
cannot
busy.
speak. Yeah, speak and draw at the same time.
We got time. We got time. We're well ahead of schedule if you have something to add. Um, but yeah. Yeah, the crossovers are interesting, but I think I think everybody was very hungry for uh the Fox and Marvel like buyout so that you could get like the X-Men and Marvel. But man, I feel like that's really bad for like business and Hollywood in general now that there's even fewer like voices out there, fewer players. Like cool Deadpool's in the MCU, but like you just took out like a classic studio, right? Like Fox doesn't exist anymore. That's insane,
Yeah, it is kind of strange.
right?
I mean,
Like
they don't really have autonomy either to kind of do what they want.
yeah. Yeah, like it's been absorbed. Now it's part of Disney. Like it's in the Disney machine, and Disney has a way of doing things, and it's not the way Fox would have done things. And you can feel how you felt about how they did the hero things, but just in general, like Fox Searchlight was some of the best like films out there, like indie stuff, and now that's gone, right? Like now it's I forgot what the Disney arm of that would be, but I know they still have Searchlight, but realistically, it's just a title at this point. It's Disney, right? So it kind of sucks. Like the more things get consolidated, the more you're gonna get one kind of voice out there, right?
We'll see. They just announced a whole bunch of different Predator stuff.
Yeah,
I think they were happy with Dan Trachtenberg what he did for Prey, so I think they're giving him a lot of leeway to do more stuff with Predator.
that's good. Yeah, I think Predator's in better shape than Alien. Like they've been up and down.
Which is true. Well, when I was a kid, like I said, I was a huge Predator fan. We just had Predator 1 and 2 for a long time.
Yeah,
Like, there really wasn't much to go on. Alien had at least um, a lot more content, I would
yeah,
guess, outside the comics at least. And you know what? The same thing with Star Wars. For a long time, all you had was the original trilogy. And
true.
Star Trek had so much in comparison. I was jealous.
Yeah,
And now there's so much Star Wars. I'm like, let's take it easy, you know?
yeah. You don't have enough story to be doing this.
Let's calm down. Some of it's great, some of it's really great, and some of it's just like you're just doing it just to do it, you know?
Yeah, you're filling a slate rather than
You're
having a
filling
story
a
that you want to
slate.
tell, right?
We need a new Star Wars series for the fall. What you
Yeah,
got? Like it's like
that's
no,
exactly it. That's what it feels like. It
it's
it
not how
shows.
inspiration works.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work on a timetable.
Yeah. I have I have a Star Wars story in my back pocket that I would love to do one day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you
It's
said it out loud just now. My goodness, no
yeah.
superstition in you.
I was I mean, because it's never gonna happen.
Yeah,
But you know what? You know what I love exploring? I love more than the characters. I love in Star Wars just the idea of they explore this a little bit in the Acolyte, as far as, because the Force is just a concept, right? And the Jedi and Sith formed religions utilizing that concept in different ways. And that's what they did with the Acolyte when they had that they had a coven of witches who worshiped the Force differently than the Jedi. So I wanted to like explore that the same way that kind of Acolyte did, except far into the future. Like far after the Republic falls, far after everybody's gone, if people were to discover the Force again from scratch, how would they treat it? You know?
Yeah.
So I like that idea, that concept is interesting to me. I like exploring things, and I don't think that they do that a lot. You know, they're like
No,
we need big set pieces, or we need this and we need that, and they're not thinking about what's interesting on a conceptual level.
you can still have that though, right? But they don't want to stray too far from the familiar. Is the other thing, right? Like this is the Skywalker story, and we don't want to go too like you have to see the tie instead of just being like, look, it's the same universe, and it's all the way on the other side of the universe, but it's the same universe. Now we're gonna tell
Yeah.
our story, right? We got you in. We said Star Wars. Now I'm gonna tell a story that has nothing to do with it. Right? And you could do that. The people try to do that with the property itself, which is a problem, right? Instead of setting it, they're like, no, like the same characters you like, but they're not them because I don't like them. Like
But you
that's
have those Voyager and the animation, Voyager, sorry, Visions.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
I
That's
love
true.
Visions. You know what I appreciate about Visions? I don't like every episode, but I love the concept of the show.
Yeah, I mean too.
I appreciate the attempt. You know, you're not always going to hit the mark, but you're trying something different. You're trying something new, and that's what I appreciate about
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point of the shorter work in general, right? Like, prove to me that you had a good concept,
it.
right?
I
And then
love
we'll.
all these anthology animated shows,
Oh
like
yeah.
the
What's the big
short.
Netflix one?
I love Death Robots.
Yes, that one's so good.
Yeah, and explore when I we were talking earlier about exploring like Disney Plus gems that don't really get much attention.
Yeah, yeah.
They have one just like that. It's an animated anthology, but it's all like Afro-futurism stories.
Oh wow.
So,
All right.
so they take I don't know if they have African studios doing all of them, but it's basically like African mythology, and they just explode it into science fiction and stuff.
Nice.
And it's really cool concepts. I like it because it's like they're short. You know, I don't have to really commit myself to something huge. I just watch it before I go to bed and then pass out.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love these different attempts to do something new, to do something original and unique, rather than just like, here's Star Wars again. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
No, for sure.
it's here's Star Wars again, except we're going to base it on Indian culture. You know, something like experiment, try
It,
something new.
it allows for the odd miss, right? Because
Yeah,
that's the problem when you do these big productions. Like they have to be successful. They have to be, or like you're gonna tank a studio. But if you give someone 10, 15 minutes in an anthology and say, show me what you got, like, yeah, some of them are not great. Like even the Love, Death, and Robots, like I think every third one sometimes ends up being a skip for me. But like, they're out there. They exist. And maybe they're not for me, but they're for somebody else, who knows? But you wouldn't know unless these things exist for
and
people
you
who
know what?
work out
They're
there, right?
not that long, so it's
Yeah.
like even
The
if I
commitment
didn't
is
like it,
minimal.
if I didn't like it, not that big of a time commitment.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't spend 2.5 hours sitting there and then be like, wow, that was trash. Uh Actually, I just watched. So I had one that did a bait and switch. It was a. Have you ever watched Love Lies Bleeding?
No,
It's Kristen Stewart. It's not animation or anything. It's like an indie film. It's Kristen Stewart and the new girl that's out there. I'm sure she'll be even more famous by the time people see this. But they're like in a relationship, and she's like a bodybuilder, and it's just about that. It's about like it's a
Kristen
thriller. Like
Stewart is a bodybuilder.
no, her girlfriend is.
Oh, okay.
um, and looks the part like appropriately. Um,
I could see Kristen Stewart as a bodybuilder. I would love that.
On
who
the
knows,
early
man?
stages.
Yeah, but yeah. So this whole film, they're like setting up this like thriller thing. Like people are dying and they're trying to get away, whatever. And the end is so off the wall, and like it turns into some weird like fantasy element, like just out of nowhere, like out of the blue. It's like a down gritty, like murder thriller. And suddenly there's like this fantasy thing that happens and the movie ends. And it's like, I just spent 2 hours. I enjoyed an hour and 50 minutes of that. And that last 10 minutes ruined the entire 2 hours because you don't get that satisfaction of the ending you've built to, right?
Yeah.
They put themselves in such a corner that there was no way out. Instead of just going with the noir ending of like, it's bad for everyone, they did something just so bizarre with no explanation. And so, you're going online on Reddit, like, can someone explain this to me? And it's like, no, that was the point. It's like, oh man, what did I watch? So
So if somebody like I don't know had an artistic itch to scratch.
yeah, that's exactly what it was, right? They're like, I wanted to do something different. It's like, sure, but you have to earn different, right? Like, you can't just do something different for the sake of it. Like, you're building a house this way, and then at the end you say it's a boat. That doesn't make it a boat,
I
right?
so I want to. So I have had this idea. I wanted to. This would essentially be a prank, an April Fool's joke, and it's very
Okay.
similar. I want to put out a rom com about a guy who has amnesia, and a nurse kind of nurses him back to health. And it's a 90-minute long movie, and the 80 minutes is all rom com. And then with 10 minutes left, he realizes that he and she both realizes that he's a serial killer, and he just haunts her for the last 10 minutes of the movie. And it just turns into a thriller, just out of nowhere. And I want to market it completely as a rom com so that when it hits, people are just completely thrown.
So you want to do the full bait and switch.
The full, it's like from the beginning. That's the point of it. And you know what? I want to drop like little like
That's what
hints
I was gonna say.
along the
But
way. Like in the background, you see a news story, serial killer still
yes,
missing.
Have you
yes,
seen Vanilla Sky?
Vanilla, I've seen Vanilla Sky. Yes,
It,
that's a
it
trippy movie.
yeah, it starts like a one genre that completely changes by half of the movie, right?
Yeah. So the weird thing about so I talk about this a lot in storytelling is that there's essentially five building blocks, right? You got theme, character, plot, whatever setting. There's a sixth building block that people don't discuss, which is what are you doing? Get your ass out of here. Which is the audience, right? As a storyteller, we can't control the audience and the baggage that they bring, how they watch something, whether they watch it like on the toilet, on a little phone, or in a movie theater. Like, we don't get to control how they experience it. And so, Vanilla Sky is one of those things where if you just like clicking through and you hit, oh, Tom Cruise, I've never seen this before. If you just start it without any preamble, you're in for a completely different experience than if you watched the trailer beforehand.
yeah,
Because if you watch the trailer, you're going to get the idea that like there's something weird going on here, that there's a little bit of a surrealist element to it. And that's the thing that's hard about being a writer is that you don't control that at all. You
yeah,
know, you don't control what type of knowledge people are bringing to your story. And Vanilla Sky is a great example because it gets really weird really quickly.
yeah, yeah. And it's like it's interesting with the marketing end of it too, because like you don't want to give things away. Like, you want people to experience it their own way. But then, like you said, people then walk in with their own baggage, and then they say this movie's terrible. It didn't meet my expectations that you didn't set me up for properly, right? Um,
There
what's the
was a
recent film like that? Drive with Ryan Gosling, same thing. They sold it
people
like an action thriller, and it was not.
people loved it. I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, likewise. I'm not a huge fan myself, but
I
it was
love the opening scene. The opening scene was fantastic,
yeah,
but the rest of it just didn't do it for
and
me.
that's what they sold, right? That's what they're like. This is going to be your high octane, whatever, and it's like, no, it's a thinker.
So there's tons of examples like that. The Orville is a good one.
Yeah,
When it first came out, they marketed it as like Family Guy in space, and
yeah,
that's not what it was. When I passed on it, and then I went back to it. I'm like, this is phenomenal. Why did
yep.
they not like pitch it like this? And I'm thinking of so I just watched Brightburn the other
Oh yeah,
day, and this is not about the movie, but when I put it, I had it on DVD. So when I put it in, they play trailers beforehand, and they started this trailer. It was with Dennis Quaid. It was a movie I've never heard of before, which is rare. So I'm watching it, and my wife is walking by the room, and she stops, and she's like, "This looks interesting." So we're watching the trailer, and she's standing there for a solid maybe like 2 minutes, and then the trailer ends, and we're like, "We don't have to see the movie now." Like, like that was like it really
Yeah,
got us engaged in the first 30 seconds, and then it just kept on going. I'm like, you sold me. Like I want to see this
yeah,
movie.
enough.
And,
I get it.
and by the end of it, I had no desire to see it. Like
Now I want to see the trailer.
Yeah.
it was yeah. My wife and I looked at each other and we're like, we're done. We watched it. What do you think of it? You thought it was good? Like,
That was a great trailer.
Yeah, you just sold me the trailer.
it was it was about like a guy. I think it was Dennis Quaid. He owned a house, and I guess his wife lived in it, and his wife died, and then he moved out. And then a new couple bought the house, and he like couldn't let go of the house. Like he wanted to come by and like say this used to be my house, and it's cute at first. Like the former owner comes over,
Yeah.
and like he's showing us around and stuff, but he like wouldn't let go. Like he keeps coming inside. He wants to change things like it's his house.
Yeah, yeah.
And it turned into like a stalker kind of creepy thriller. And I'm like, this is interesting. But it just the trailer kept going.
Like, it
Like
just told you everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was like I'm done. I don't watch trailers anymore. Like I pretty much know what movie I want to see and what movie I don't want to see, which it makes the experience so much better.
I have no discipline in that regard. I can't, I wanna see. I wanna see. But yeah,
But
I respect that though. And it's harder and harder to do because it's everywhere, right? Um,
I mean,
but
I like Wolverine and Deadpool. I didn't watch it. Like I right from the announcement, I'm watching it. Like I know that I don't need to see any of the trailers because you don't have to sell me on the movie. It's sold, and I'm going to go completely blank, and I'm going to watch it, enjoy every second of it. And there are movies that I wished things were a surprise for me. And like a big one I can think of is Mini Me and Austin Powers.
yeah, yeah.
Like Mini Me was in the trailer, so it's like, oh, cute Mini Me. But it's like if that came about and you had no idea he was in there, it would be hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But the trailer kind of ruins it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. It like yeah, like, you need to have some surprise in there, which is so I guess you're really hardcore about spoilers then too, right?
Oh, dude, that's a red flag in my book.
Yeah.
I don't want any spoilers. I love going in blank to everything.
Yeah. It's every time I go to visit my parents, my stepfather likes to tell me what he just watched by starting with the ending.
Oh, oh,
It it's like, "Hey, did you see that one where the guy was the killer in the end?" And it's like, "Now I won't." Thanks.
like he was
So,
them all along.
yeah. You know that he was actually a ghost in the end? That one, what was it with the like, please don't tell me about what you've seen because I would like to see these for myself. Yeah, it's like some people are very like, oh, just whatever, it's your own experience, but the surprise is part of it, right? Like that's part of the story. Like the writer wrote this with the intent of
That's
something should be a surprise, right?
that's what it is. I think as a writer and as a storyteller, I want to craft an experience for someone,
Yeah,
and for that experience to be kind of ruined, it sucks. I get it. Like I wouldn't
yeah,
want
right. It's like
that. Yeah.
come along for this ride, and they're getting in the car, and they're like, by the way, this is where you're going. It's like,
I
well,
my my favorite is when somebody spoils something for me, and then they say, "What, you didn't know? It's spoiled all over the internet." And I'm like, "'Cause of people like you."
yeah,
Like people think like it's already spoiled. Let me spoil it for everyone else. Just
right. I think and those people are the ones that are keeping, like, I feel like we're the ones keeping the movie business alive, because when there's something that I know is gonna be spoiled, I have to go, like, right away, but, I don't get it spoiled, but, yeah,
I
those ones
was
that are just like, "Spoil it anyway," like, well, then I don't have to go watch it.
yeah, I watched Wolverine and Deadpool. I think the Monday it came out, and I
Yeah,
didn't have any spoilers. I was like completely free. I got it, and and you know what? There's so many funny parts of that movie. There's so many surprises. Like I'm so glad that none of it was spoiled for me. But
right?
I I just don't get it. You know what I did? I if I'm on Facebook or whatever and I'm scrolling and I see a spoiler, even if it's for something that I already know, like I've already seen the movie, so it's not really spoiling it for me, but I
Yeah.
know like it just came out and this is something that I wouldn't want to know, I'll unfollow that page immediately
Yeah,
or I'll
yeah,
block that page if it's suggested
Well,
for
you
me.
are liberal with your block button. It's just it
I guess
depends on
I
what it's
am.
for.
When it comes to spoilers, yeah,
That's the red line. It's don't spoil it. You could be as political
political
as you
racist,
want.
sexist comments, perfectly fine. You put a spoiler, you're done.
That's the line.
That's my red line.
That's fair. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's like it's a chore, right? Like you know a big movie is coming out. It's like, I want to experience it for myself. Like why is this like what do you get out of spoiling it, right? Like I
You
don't
know what they get out of it. They get likes and
that
views.
like half second of attention, right? Like
Yeah, I mean that's why people post stuff like that online that's fresh and new because it's going to get them attention. You know.
yeah, it's just again, I don't get it myself. I like I understand. You're right. I agree with you. I just personally like the satisfaction of somebody clicking like because I said you're like, hey, this is how this ends. There, it's like, oh, I got 10 likes on that. Like, well, no, like,
And I've come a long way too. I remember when I was a kid, I forget, maybe 19, when V for Vendetta came out,
yeah, yeah,
and that first trailer came out, I must have watched it 100 times.
oh yeah, I love that one.
Like, so I was all into like movie news and superhero news, and as soon as stuff came out, like I would see the trailer and I would follow rumors, and then you know what happened? I had kids. That's
Yeah,
what happens. I'm like, I don't got time for this anymore. I just like I don't follow rumors. And people I love when people start talking about the rumors or casting announcements or
sure,
whatever. I'm just like, you know when I pass judgment after I see the movie. Like that's
yeah,
it. The people were talking so much about Kang and Jonathan Majors or Blade. Blade is a phenomenal example.
yeah.
So many people were talking about it when it was announced. And I'm like, why? For
Like
something
nothing's happened yet.
nothing's happened yet. The movie is 3 years away, and now
Yeah,
we're 3 years later, and they put it on hold. So it's like you're talking, you're wasting your breath on something that doesn't even exist.
it's true. It's true. Well, yeah, that was Heath Ledger, right? Everybody's like, this is gonna be horrible. Why'd you get that guy, the cowboy guy, right? It's like, well, now look, it's like an iconic, like it's changed the comics, his interpretation of the
You
Joker. But if
you
you took
don't
everyone's word for it 2 years before that had happened,
you
right?
don't watch movies for the casting announcement. You know, you watch a movie
Yeah.
for a movie. Let him do his thing. He's not an actor to like see your opinion on his casting announcements.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's not what it's for. So
Right?
just
And like you don't know how it's gonna turn out. You might get Jared Leto and you might get Heath Ledger. It could go either way, right?
Jared
But but
Leto.
yeah, you have to like let the story be told and then cast your judgment and keep it to yourself for at least a couple weeks so that we can get to the theater to see it for ourselves.
You can talk with other people who've seen it, but to throw it out into the ether of the internet for anybody
Yeah,
to see.
it's very selfish. It's a very selfish, like you got to experience it with fresh eyes and you've decided that nobody else should have the similar experience, right? At least anyone in your circle. So yeah, no, I'm not a fan of spoilers myself. It's just yeah, it's unnecessary, terribly unnecessary.
I am I am not big on sweating the small stuff. Like I'm more along the lines of like big problems. Like let first world problems go. But when
Yeah.
it comes to movie spoilers, no,
Sure.
I'm pretty much a fascist. Like this, there is no leeway when it comes
Yeah.
to spoiling things.
And it's like something that like it's not like you can't go back, right?
You
Once
can't,
it's spoiled, it's spoiled. It's done. Like
if they could invent like the Men in Black memory eraser thing,
yeah.
but there's so many movies I would love to watch for the first time. You know,
Yeah.
so many shows like forget eliminating traumatizing events for PTSD victims. Like I don't care about that. I want to watch movies for the first. I want to see Memento for the first time again. You know,
Yeah. And have no expectation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just what's going on? Yeah. I get that.
I would leave notes to myself like Frank, just keep watching. Like
Yeah. Don't get like it gets better, I swear. Yeah.
it will all make sense in the end.
Yeah, I like that. I think you get that a little bit by like revisiting, especially as you get much older. Because even
Yeah, that's
right,
the
like you're watching with new eyes, right?
age
Like,
is definitely a different thing. I watched through Gargoyles, the entire animated series again
oh
with
yeah,
my son. Different experience. It's a lot more Shakespearean than I remember.
yeah, right. Like you're not catching that when you're younger, right? There's I find there's a lot of versions of that where it's just like so much goes over your head when you watch it when you're younger. Now you're like, oh, I see what they were doing. Like I see
You
the art in this now, where I probably didn't before.
you
And
have a
sometimes
much
stuff doesn't age well too. That's also
That's another one. But that's not just an aging thing, that's also a time thing, like
yes,
society changes. I, I
Well,
also your bar is a lot lower when you're a kid, I'm with
absolutely.
I'm
yeah.
with my kids, they find entertainment in, like, something that I'm watching, I'm like, "That was terrible." And they're like, "It was a great." I'm like, "Okay."
That's Minecraft for me. I don't get it. What is the purpose of Minecraft? Nobody can tell me.
I never got Minecraft, no.
Yeah.
My
It's like,
kids
but I'm
like
building something. It's like, and then what? It's like, man, it's built. It's like, yo, go get some Lego, man.
Yeah, exactly.
At least you built something that's finished. You put it away. I don't know. It's I don't.
Minecraft never dealt. They're like, look at this. It's a like to scale replica of the Millennium Falcon. How long did that take you? 600 hours. What?
Worth it.
Totally worth it.
Life well spent.
I mean, yeah, okay, it's cool, but I would rather do something else. I don't know. I
Yeah.
would rather write a comic book.
Yeah. It's it's. I guess people have. I always wonder that, right? So like, I have a brother who's just like he has zero interest in like creative stuff. Um, he's very helpful. He might even be watching this now. I don't know. He's like, you know what I mean? I love him. He's wonderful. But yeah, he's always I've always bugged him like, "Oh, aren't you interested in like drawing or writing?" He's like, "No, no." Like he's an accountant. Like he's just doing his job, living his life. He consumes a lot. Like I can talk to him about everything, but yeah, no interest
Someone
in
has
like
to do it.
I
yeah, yeah,
absolutely,
right,
I totally envy those people.
yeah.
I totally do. I
They don't
wish I
have
could
the
just
itch.
no. I wish I could just turn off the creative side of my brain and just be.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, right? It's that feeling. It's like, don't you have like an urge? Like, isn't it like killing you that you're not like making something? And he's like, no, no, I enjoy watching my shows and stuff, and then I go to bed. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about this in the Discord all the time. That line in Hamilton when he's talking about, like, how do you write like you're running out of time?
Hmm.
Because I am running out of time. That's why. Like, I
We
have
all
so
are.
many stories to tell, and I'm gonna die without telling them all. That's why I keep doing it. And I wish I didn't have that swirling around in my brain,
Hmm.
but I did. I do. So, yeah, I'm tortured for the rest of my life to do this.
Right? And it's like I don't know if you've ever tried to like step away from all of it. Like I have. There was a period in my life where I'm like, you know what? Like, because I started as a film student, right? Film's probably the just based on how much you need to like the collaboration you need, the money you need, and all that. Like, if somebody doesn't say yes, it's not happening, right? Like they say you can do independent and all that, but realistically, if you want to make a career in it, somebody needs to give you a green light.
You
Uh,
need a sugar daddy.
yeah, right. Like something needs to go your way for it to really work out. Um, so yeah, so at one point I was just like, you know what, like it's too much. I can't. But then I have my friend from film school that I'd always talk to, and yeah, it would be that conversation. Be like, man, I'm dying, like not doing something. Like I need to be doing like maybe film isn't it, but I need to be creating something, right? And yeah, it's just it's never left. I tried to be like that's not me. I'm just a corporate guy. Go to my boring job and I'm gonna be happy. I just couldn't. I just
No.
couldn't. And now I'm doing this and Kickstarter and all that business.
I mean, I think I've steadily been creating something since I was like 7.
Oh
You
yeah.
know? I
Just never stopped, eh?
I mean, but it's like in the beginning it wasn't like I'm gonna create something to share it with people.
It was the joy of it. Yeah.
It was like I like Spider-Man. This would be a cool Spider-Man story. Let me just write it, you know?
Yeah.
I you are you familiar with Machinima?
Yep.
So I was really big into Machinima in college. and a lot of Halo 2, a lot of Halo 3, Halo Reach, and stuff like that. And that was the way for me to live out my filmmaking dreams realistically. You know,
Yeah,
essentially, I could have big fight scenes with cyborg soldiers and trucks and cars and tell stories, but that was like my big creative output. I've made a ton of machinima movies, and it was a cool community of other people that love to voice act who got to live out their voice acting dreams. People
nice.
that just wanted to be in these movies that would like volunteer to log on to a game and be like a body actor. And I wrote scripts and I filmed. I'm not a director. Like I'm not a technical person.
Sure.
So there was a bunch of people that had a better presentation than me with their films and their movies. But I could write the hell out of a script and story. So like people knew like you're not going to get the best production value with Frank's movies, but they're going to be fun. They're going to be entertaining. And I really appreciated that era of my life. And then I had a son and it all died. You know,
He took it all with him.
it's hard. It's time consuming. You know, you have to have a computer set up with an Xbox and
Of
a
course.
capture card and all that stuff. And it was just, I remember making my last one, and he was a baby, and I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to do this again.
Like this is the last one.
Like I know this is the last one, and you know what? That's okay because it was easier to do comics after he was born. You know,
100%. Yeah, yeah.
so it became I like morphed into something else. But you know what? I still have a hard drive with all of those films. And some nights when after I've had a few drinks, I'm like, let's reminisce Daddy's old Halo movies.
Not again.
Come on, Dad, not for the 12th time.
Oh, that's
You know what
amazing.
I also enjoyed making like movie music videos, you know, where you just chop up a movie and you
Yeah,
edit
yeah.
them to like a song. And I don't own the content to the song. I don't own the content to the movie. I'm not really writing anything, but you know, it does the union of the two does tell a story.
Hmm.
You know, I did Somewhere I Belong with Linkin Park, and I did that with iRobot. You know,
Oh,
there's
right
like,
on.
yeah, there's a story behind the merger of those two things,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
had a great time editing them together and cutting them up. And yeah, I mean, that was a way to like live out storytelling without actually telling the story from scratch. If that makes
Yeah.
sense, you're telling a story through editing. So
Yeah, and
there's
it all builds it builds your, like, vocabulary, right? Like,
yeah.
finding different ways to tell your stories and that, and using these different tools and things to do it, like, yeah, that's
Yeah. I had in my heyday, I had a YouTube channel with like millions of views, thousands of videos, and I tested the dragon one too many times, and I had 3 copyright strikes, and they killed my entire account.
no. Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be terribly useful right now, no? For
Oh my
big
god, you
target?
have no idea. My biggest video was I did a Halo 2 recreation of the trailer for 300,
Yeah.
the Zack Snyder film.
Yeah,
So
right
I
on.
remade it with like Halo character. I had like I don't know 200,000 views on it back in the day. I had a lot of views,
Yeah.
and that was like my big claim to fame. And
Nice.
I don't know when that was, 2010 or something. No,
Whenever
way
that came
before
out.
that,
Yeah.
2000. I'm trying to think. You know, it's not important. but but yeah, I had a I now I have a YouTube channel, but it's like it's nowhere near what it was. And they've gotten a lot stricter with copyright and music and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, AI and stuff is catching it right away,
Yeah.
right? Where
Like,
before it was someone had to flag it. So,
but you know what? After that, I started to get, I don't want to say wise, but I started being more conscientious about the royalty free music I was using.
yeah.
And there's tons of it that's great out there.
Oh, yeah.
I So Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails put out an enormous 4 disc album. He probably has done more because this was 10 years ago, over that, of just instrumental royalty free tracks.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So on my show right now, the intro music is one of them.
That's amazing.
So it's like, and you know what? Not a lot of people know about it. So
Yeah.
you could be using a song that people have never heard before, and it's royalty free. Anybody can use it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like for us, we went through that YouTube studio
Hmm.
of like our intro musics from the royalty free bank they got there, and there's stuff being added like every month. So Like, yeah, there's lots of royalty free music out there. Because I know the music licensing is a nightmare, just in terms of getting that sorted. So
You know what they would do was fun is when I would make like a movie music video, and they would catch the music. So they're like, we have to mute it. I'm like, that's the entire video is the song. So now it's
yeah,
just a
just
bunch
delete
of
it.
random clips without any music to it.
Just get rid of it then, please.
Yeah.
Save me the effort. Oh my goodness.
But you know what? Saving them again. I make this stuff for myself. So even if the YouTube kills them all, I still have them. I can watch
Nice.
them whenever. And I shall hand it to my son after I die, and he will probably throw it in the garbage.
Isn't that the way? Be like, oh, they're gonna save it all and they're gonna show their children. No, they're like, oh, what do I do with this? Just tell it.
No, tossing my legacy.
Yeah. We got morbid now. We had a silly comic and we decided to start talking morbid stuff. Where are we on the comic? I see you're doing colors. What's going on? Oh no.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to go to much more detail, so I thought
So you
maybe
started
some
going the other
color.
direction.
Yeah.
No, this is you have a sequential story here. This is
Yep.
great.
Oh yeah. All right. So should we start adding some dialogue to this? Does this need dialogue? I feel like it needs at least those insults or something, right? Or no?
I mean, it
It might
does.
not.
It doesn't really. I mean, half of the fun is having somebody look at this and trying to figure it out themselves. Like, what the heck is going on? Because you don't have to interpret it as like a drama queen. I mean, that's what we started as, but anybody can come up with their own interpretation.
I think it might be more fun just kind of leaving it open. Like the visuals kind of tell the story here, right?
There's multiple ways to do this. I mean, you could have captions that kind of tell the story. That would work. Or you could
Yeah.
just have dialogue of her hearing her what she says, or you could just leave it. I think it works.
I know how I'm leaning. How are you leaning?
Uh I'm leaning towards one direction for the wrong reasons.
I'm curious.
I say we leave it without dialogue because I'm lazy and don't want to come up with any.
I
I'm being honest.
I'm going the same way without the lazy part. I just think I think it's good. I think it's good. Like I feel like it tells the story.
But
Without,
you know what? It
like,
doesn't
we might just
necessarily
ruin it. That's what I'm worried about.
Well, the thing is, we came up with this based on Drama Queen.
Yes.
And if you look at this, just like if you take it at face value, she's not really a drama queen. I mean, she could be the queen of the school, and people are just drawn to her because she's the queen of the school, not because she spouts drama everywhere.
Yeah. But so to be fair, so those prompts, we don't hold to them at all. So it doesn't have like we don't have to worry about making it fit. The goal is just to come up with something complete by the end of it. We clearly have, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think it needs dialogue.
No, it works on its own.
Roberto, what do you think? Are you like, no, this isn't good?
No, here I'm just.
Yeah,
we're gonna get.
It worked on its own, but I don't know if you want to if you want to add something. I'm fine with it too.
I'm gonna get some
subtext or.
I'm gonna get some people. Hi, come down here.
I'm up in Lily's room.
Fine, tell her to come down here too. We're gonna do a screen test.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. We're gonna get some real time feedback.
Nice.
Good.
But yeah, I think it's good as is.
Oh, it's
and
very
now it's
cool.
got some color, so it's a whole different thing. Usually we stick with the black and white because we're running out of time, so this will allow us to get a color piece out there. But yeah,
I think my daughter was in a bad mood. Hey, come here. I need your help. Why? Because we're writing a comic and we want to see what you think of it. Okay. So look, we wrote we wrote this and then he drew it. So look, what do you think it's about? So you have this. What does she look like?
A magnet.
She does look like a magnet. And what is she walking through? You want to guess?
People.
People. Well, look. It's like a school. So look, see, they're in lockers. And what's happening here?
Somebody got stuck to her.
Yeah. And then what's happening here?
Everybody's getting stuck to her.
Yeah. And then what does she see here?
Another magnet.
Oh, and there's people stuck to him too.
Uh,
So what do you think's going on?
like everybody's getting stuck to them.
Yeah, I know. She's drawing everybody to her.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's cool? All right, good. Nice job. Get out of here.
We got an approval. All right.
Thank you.
That's definitely a first. We haven't had
You haven't had any real time?
outside consultation before.
No. You got to play to your audience. You need to.
That's right.
That's why they screen movies before they release them.
That's right. That's right. I'm glad we got the seal of approval there. That's
So,
but yeah. So all right.
the original prompt was drama queen, and she attracts drama. But it doesn't look like she's attracting drama. It just looks like she's attracting people, which is fine because people are drama, as we all know. So she's attracted to the drama king, even though everybody's attracted to them. You know what that looks like in the final panel? You know the wall of zombies from World War Z, where they just kind of like.
Oh yeah, and they start like building that wall there. Yeah.
That last panel actually has a lot of horror elements to it. You know, just all the bodies. Like, you ever seen
It could
those?
be
Like,
interpreted that way.
yeah,
If we wanted to go really dark, they're all dead.
they're all the magnetism kills them.
Yeah, they hit the magnet so hard. If you want to just do a quick little recap, like who you are, where we can find you, and we'll let you go.
Sure. I'm Frank Martin. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Frank the Writer. My website, franktherewriter.com, has a whole bunch of my stuff on there. You can sign up for my mailing list. And I'm a writer and comic creator who has no idea what he's doing.
Selling yourself short, but no.
That's a little self-deprecation goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming. This is a lot of fun. Always good to talk to you, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
It's just us two. We haven't wrapped up completely, but we didn't want to hold Frank hostage. But yeah, if you go to the website, you'll see what the final colored page looks like. We'll give Roberto some time, but we won't hold Roberto hostage either. So we'll get going. So Roberto,
I keep painting and turn off the lights because it's done.
that's right. Yeah, you don't need the camera and all that business. You can work at your leisure. You can get a coffee, all that business. But in the meantime, I guess let people know who you are, where they can find you. If they got anything, it's January. You got anything out in January? Let us know.
I haven't planned anything yet, but I'm thinking of launching the second chapter of Nathaniel Fox. That's an adventure a la Indiana Jones, and you can find me on robertovillacarillustration.com and spread from there. Or you can sign up to my newsletter, and you will see you will get more information on free comics there.
Right on. Yeah, highly recommend Nathaniel Fox. A lot of fun. Voyager's wonderful too. But yeah, I'm a big fan of both of them. And yeah,
and now you are the editor. You're checking it.
Now I'm the editor, so I get a preview.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I'll get my name in there too.
Yes.
So I'm a biased fan, very biased. And yeah. So for me, yeah. So we're talking January. So yeah. If this is coming out when it should be, well, I actually should have a live campaign on Kickstarter right now called Naked Kaiju Woman. If everything is going right. If not, pre-launch is definitely up. It's up right now and it's October. But January, this is the future. It is launched. It's hopefully funded. I don't know. If not, please go check it out. It's on Kickstarter. It's what happens when when a woman grows to be 50 feet tall and her clothes don't grow with her. How does that happen? Yeah, it's fun. It's naughty fun. Definitely check it out. It's on Kickstarter. Hopefully it's doing well. If not, we could certainly use your help. But yeah. Otherwise, Pesto Comics on everything, at Pesto Comics on all the socials. PestoComics.com will lead you to all of that. And yeah, that's all we got for this week. One more thing, instantink.xyz. You want to see the final piece? You want to see what it looks like when it's actually completed? That's where you go. You can find that, all our other episodes. If you're watching this on YouTube, you like and subscribe,
Yeah,
please.
and this
please.
is an exception. I'm not going to do this. That finish this afterwards. It's the first one and only, and the last one.
Yes, we had circumstances beyond our control today. We made a deal with Frank that we would finish on time, and we didn't. So we let him go. But normally he's sticking around, and we're finishing it live. But this time, yeah, just check out the website. So Instant Ink podcast.xyz. And again, like and subscribe. If you're watching the clips on Instagram, follow us on Instagram as well. Spotify, Pocket Casts, all of the places where you get your wonderful podcast. That's where you'll find. And yeah. So until next time, Tuesday or Friday, we'll be on again. So thank you very much. We'll have somebody brand new and we'll talk with them. But until then, thanks. Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you. Bye bye.